Hello, my name is Leonardo Duval, and today I'd like to talk about the validity of error analysis, metalinguistic cognition, and metacognitive strategies to improve accuracy in Colombian EFL students. So, in the past, errors were seen as something to be avoided at all costs. But nowadays, due to research, we know better. We all make them, and it's something that characterizes us as human beings. So, we need to make mistakes in order to learn, whether we like it or not. However, in order to improve written language proficiency, accuracy is needed, and mistakes should be reduced to a minimum. So, what is done in the field of linguistics in order to improve accuracy in second language learning? For this, I will be talking about several concepts and strategies, and have a look at how valid these are in today's Colombian EFL classroom, especially as a means to lead students towards academic proficiency in English and prepare them for what lies ahead in university or work. Now, the fact of the matter is that there seem to be numerous gaps when it comes to research on error analysis for the Colombian bilingual school context. Let's talk about error analysis first. The second language learners, they typically make mistakes due to what's known as transfer. In other words, when they use their mother tongue to produce language in their target language, and sometimes in the process make these mistakes. And in order to study this, we need something called error analysis. Now, studying errors nowadays is very significant. Selenka in 1969 said that there are three main benefits of studying errors. First, they show learners' progress when learning a language. Second, they provide important feedback to the language researcher because they give an idea of how language is learned. And finally, it engages the learner into testing hypotheses. Now, error analysis is usually seen as something only or exclusive for the teacher or the student, for the teacher or the researcher, though this is not unusual. It's not unusual nowadays to see teachers encourage students to do error analysis. However, there is very little evidence of this happening in Colombia. In a study, Zamora and Ramos used error analysis to pinpoint errors, their students' errors, and with the purpose of improving their writing, but claimed that this did very little for accuracy due to their level of English. In other words, they were A1 and they were just beginners. Now, when correcting students' work, we provide feedback, and feedback is an essential part of achieving accuracy. Feedback in language learning can be done both orally or in writing. When providing feedback in writing, it might be best to use uncoded feedback, where the teacher simply underlines the mistake and writes a comment or a symbol to classify the mistake and alert the student that there is a mistake. However, a combination of both types helps students to self-edit, according to Samson in 2012, who did research on Colombian students. And this ultimately encourages the student to focus on language awareness. And according to some other people who did research in Colombia, they suggest that feedback actually improved accuracy for English assessment exams. In other words, for the preparation of assessment exams. Now, when it comes to language awareness, well, error correction encourages language awareness. Language awareness allows learners to be sensitive towards forms and functions of language. It can be proved necessary in language learning for both students and teachers, but when scholars talk about it, it's mainly discussed in favor of the students' need for functional English literacy. And according to a study by Carter in 2003, he says that language awareness is less likely to achieve accuracy as it works more on fluency. So notice that the teacher is involved in the process of language awareness in something called teacher language awareness. and this is concerned with how teachers understand the language systems and subject matter in order to improve language teaching. In English, for academic purposes or academic English, language awareness tends to be more holistic. The focus tends to be more of a holistic type on language, and though it's necessary, perhaps it's not enough to attain accuracy. And that's why we need metalinguistic awareness. So for both language awareness and teacher language awareness are both directly related to explicit knowledge. This according to Demon and LeBoeuf, 2010. For instance, where students should be taught how to change the active to the passive voice and vice versa, they also need to know why they need to do this. They need to understand the function of the language as well. Now, perhaps the clearest distinction there is between language awareness and metalinguistic awareness is that metalinguistic awareness can actually be taught. When it comes to metacognitive strategies, or thinking about thinking, we understand that it plays a fundamental role in language learning. But in order to do this, or in order for students to do this, they need to use strategies, i.e. metacognitive strategies. And this refers to the use of planning, organizing, monitoring, and evaluating when learning something. And it's most commonly associated with language learning. This is something that, according to Van Leer, also allows students to reach higher levels of understanding and usage. And it also allows students to gain linguistic competence. So it's very beneficial for the students to reach higher levels. To conclude, when students are provided with effective feedback, they are likely to make less mistakes and improve accuracy as a result. Research done here in Colombia suggests that feedback will in turn promote language awareness. Language awareness is simply not enough to improve academic proficiency or to achieve academic proficiency, and McDonough and Fuentes suggest that metalinguistic awareness will ultimately help students reach that higher level they need of competence. This, along with the use of metacognitive strategies, will also allow students to be more accurate, as they will reflect on how they write. They will also learn about language, and ultimately they will learn how to use it in an academic context. It's important also to understand that not all mistakes can be corrected. That would be very unrealistic. So it would be important to focus on the most common types of mistakes. Now, due to the nature of and complexity of academic English, research suggests that it's best to do so through explicit instruction, explicit learning, and explicit knowledge. This can be done through form-focused instructions where the student explicitly explains the use of language and its systems to the students. And ultimately, because students cannot simply learn the language subconsciously, the teacher should be there to teach the student explicitly what and how the language works. Thank you very much.